that in two ways.
Okay.
The first way is thank you in our last two discussions for proving my point about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks, because the Steph Currys of the world are going to get hurt, because the Clippers of the world are going to have a bad matchup in the first round, which, by the way, I think they would not be a first-round exit if they've been playing almost any other team in the West, not the Thunder, but, you know.
Yeah.
I think that they would have advanced to the second round and we'd be having a different conversation. There are so many ways, the Cleveland Cavaliers, where you have a great setup and something goes wrong. You cannot count on the future when you have something good in your pocket. Do not give it away without serious consideration. Okay, number two.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brings it full circle.
Right.
So yeah.
I appreciate you letting me get that in. That was kind of you. Look, I think the James Harden price tag is going to be a big decision maker. You know, does he opt out? How much money does he want? What kind of flexibility does that or doesn't that give them? They obviously, I don't want to say they found something in Zubac, because, by the way, he's been good for them, if not this great, but good for them since the moment the Lakers inexplicably gave him away for peanuts to the Clippers. I just don't know what else you do with this team. And the coaching is top-notch. The defense was exceptional. I don't know if you just have to throw up your hands and say, this is kind of the same as when someone has an injury, and say, we maxed out more than anyone thought we would with this roster. And we ran into an opponent where we ended up playing Game 7 at altitude on their floor, and our older guys ran out of gas. Like, I just don't know what else you can kind of do at that point. And you're right, there's no magic bullet for them to, like, fix it all this summer.
Doing it a lot, though, he's over the course of his career.
I just looked it up.
Okay.
James Harden has played 173 playoff games.
Okay.
I am not in any way defending James Harden as the greatest playoff player on earth. He is not. However, and this was with the Chris Paul conversation too, it's a little bit cheating the argument when you count up totals for a guy who has played. This is a guy who's gotten his teams to the playoffs in all but one season of his, at this point, I think it's a 15-year career.
Yes.
And who's therefore played 173 playoff games. So when you throw around, he's got 30 of these games, whatever, it's not a huge part of the total. It's more than you'd want. And it's hey, this tells me he is not going to be the number 1A guy on your team to get you to a title. And we saw that in Houston, where he was having MVP seasons, but couldn't get it done in the playoffs.
But, I mean, does this series not show you he might not?
At this age?
Kawhi
What is he,
deserves criticism,
35?
too. 35, be 36 next year.
Okay.
Kawhi deserves criticism in this end, too. Like, he did not play well in this series, at least down the stretch.
I think we're spoiled. Look, LeBron James, who obviously is playing at 40-plus now, we all recognize he's not going to be your number one player. And in fact, depending on who else they bring in, he might not be the number 2 player on the Lakers next year. These guys are getting older. And we have in some ways been spoiled by the fact that, the previous generation didn't play this long. It was crazy when Chris Paul was doing contracts where he would end up being 36, 38,
that
whatever
over 38
it was.
Rule came in.
Right, but he foresaw, as the president of the Players Association, when he wrote that into the CBA, I'm still going to be playing then. And he played all 82 this year. LeBron James is still getting it done on an all-NBA team at an all-NBA level at 40-plus. We are spoiled that James Harden at 35 and Steph Curry at 37 are still at the level they're at. We can't be surprised, though, when they cannot deliver the way they did at 25 or 30. And I just think that's a reality. And I agree with you that the Clippers have to decide if he opts out, and he might not for this very reason. There's other teams around the league who might be like, he's 36. He's going to be 36.
There was no market for him last summer, though. Like, the Clippers bid against themselves to give him that deal.
Well, I think the market's changed. They
you
got
think
him.
It's plussed up? You think it's better now for him?
I do, actually. I think.
Where are we looking now? Where?
Look, as I just said, he might not opt out because it might not be there. I'm not saying he's going to have his pick this summer. I do think that he is a rehabilitated player from the guy who left Philadelphia. And I think his stock is higher. And what he's been able to do for the Clippers has been impressive. I agree with you, though. If he opts out, if he does find an opportunity somewhere else, then the Clippers have to seriously think about getting younger, certainly, and how they manage the future. And it's a very smart front office.
Yeah.
So I trust
They made
them.
the right moves.
Who's going to step in and be the number 2? Are you getting a number 2 even if Harden takes less money?
I don't know. Again,
I'm not Coach of the Year, but on my Coach of the Year ballot.
Elite guy. They've done a great job.
Plan when they went out and got Kawhi. They made a trade that even at the time because Shea already had a reputation around the league.
It was growing, yeah. He had a great rookie year.
This is a guy who's earmarked to be good,
Yeah.
right? Even at the time, we were all like, we'll see if this is worthwhile. And yes, it's a 2-for-1. You get Kawhi, therefore you get Paul George. That's
Correct.
why you made the trade. You're not really trading for Paul George. You're trading for both of those guys, weirdly. But that's the decision they made. And ever since, they have had to deal with ever-changing circumstances. Kawhi not being healthy in almost any of the games. He hasn't been healthy since 2020 for the playoffs. This was the first time he ended the playoffs on the floor, right? So that handicap alone, having, because of that, chemistry issues, when Paul not being able to play to the potential you hoped he would be able to play at, then he turns and walks away, and you're left with, at the beginning of the season, what did we all think the Clippers were going to do? Certainly a lot of people didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. I think
had to fight at the very end to stay out of the play-in tournament.
I think this front office has made lemonade out of lemons for years. I expect them to keep doing so. I'm just not sure that that's going to yield a championship. You might have to wait out some of these contracts, play as well as you can, and, sort of start to attract guys as you get more money available.
Tough for Steve Ballmer, who's all in.
Steve Ballmer is going to be just fine.
He's going to be just fine.
Although I did like the move. What did you think of the move of him bringing all those wall people?
That was cool.
I mean, that was so cool.
That was cool. It's nice when you have bleep you money, though.
I get it. That's what I said.
Do that.
So Steve Ballmer's going to be just fine.
Just fine.
But how cool the fan experience.
Yeah.
It is so rare we see a team owner do anything for fans.
Awesome. Yeah.
In Dallas, they're raising ticket prices again.
Oh, that's a conversation for another day.
Just saying. I thought that was awesome.
Steve Ballmer, one of the best owners in the NBA, built the best arena in the NBA. Still might be a long way away from winning a championship, though, in the NBA.